Hello, no. Hello, Elisa. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, Anna. I'm good. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you again. Beautiful as ever. Elisa and I
Nice.
met at a youth dispensa event last November in Malta. Now it's, what month are we in? April.
April.
It's difficult to count when we are locked down at home. And ever since we've been in touch, and my God, this woman has so much to share. There's so many challenges that she's gone through. And when you look at her, is that she irradiates that beauty physically and emotionally. It's
You're gonna make
just
me cry,
amazing.
Anna.
She's a beautiful person, so let's listen to her. Elisa, tell us, share with us at least one of your challenges, because I know that there's been many. And looking at you is like, oh no, this woman doesn't have any challenge. She's purity, she's intelligent, she speaks tons of languages. Life must be easy for her. But there are challenges anyway, aren't there?
We'll have challenges, smaller or bigger. Yeah. So should I talk about one of them, or maybe if you want to address
Just
any of
pick
them in
one.
concrete?
Pick
Yes.
one, whatever it is.
I'll start
Whatever it is.
chronologically because it's something probably less common and that doesn't have as much attention. When I was younger, when I was around 10 years old, I started having some gut issues, some pain. I had like a bad experience of a day that I felt terrible. My parents weren't there with me, so I got really afraid of me having like another similar experience when I was away from home. So I got this fear of leaving my home without, let's say, let's just like going to the bathroom for an hour just in case, to be precautious about that. I was just afraid of going outside and something bad happening to me. So, of course, I was a preteen, and I was actually that year I started high school because it's the year that things changed in Spain. So instead of going to high school when you were 14, we were starting just with around 11 years old, I think it was. So with all the complications that come with that, new friends, hopefully, and like all these challenges you get at that age, I also had that every morning. I would just wake up. I wouldn't go have breakfast. I would just wake up. My mom would bring me a cup of tea, and I would just be in the bathroom all morning. Whatever, if it was 1 hour, half an hour, any time I had left before heading to high school. And then in high school, it was this.
Sorry, I had a little bit of a technical issue with the internet. Can you let us know again what happened when you were starting high school?
We're back. Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, it was a challenging time by itself, just because of course, it's a challenging age, starting a new school, meeting new people. You get all these all these fears, internal fears we'll have, and that got together with the fact that I had this fear of going outside because I was afraid something bad was going to happen. I was going to be in pain again, and of course, it's also embarrassing if you have to go to the bathroom outside and you don't have the chance to. It's a situation that we as humans we all can face. It's just silly if you see it like that, but it's also embarrassing at some well, some way of saying
Level.
it. Yeah, thank you. So I got that. I would be like, I would wake up, my mom would bring a cup of tea for me upstairs, and I wouldn't go downstairs to have breakfast. She would just get that for me, and I would just spend all morning in the bathroom, take a shower, and whenever I had like 30 minutes or an hour, that was the time I would spend in the bathroom until I had to go. I mean, last 5 minutes to rush and go to high school, which was really close to my house. And then in the lunch break, I would also get the same. I would be there, and whenever I had some free time, since I had like all these symptoms and like an upset stomach all the time, I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. And I do that. Of course, I would find there some other girls like older, smoking and doing their things. So I couldn't really spend too long there because they would like say things to me, and it was strange. I would always also have to make up excuses with my friends at the time for me to go every time we had the lunch break for me to go to the bathroom and spend long there. I would always be like, oh, I ran into someone, oh, I was doing this, I was trying to buy something for lunch. So every day, which I mean, they were fine. We were all kind of weird in our own sense, but it was every day like that. And I was also afraid in the sense that I had overcome the motion sickness that I would get when I was younger, when I would get in a car, and I still wanted to travel. I had overcome that, and then I had this issue, and even just going on a road trip that took an hour and a half, it would be like a whole world to me because I was so scared of it, of being outside of my
Wow.
comfort zone. And I never thought I would be able to travel or be like a normal person, just go outside. Like my grandparents lived very nearby at the time, just like a 5-minute walk. So I think that was the most I would be able to go without having to go to the bathroom before heading out. And not even that sometimes, just going outside to go buy bread for the day or like groceries, 15-minute walk, 10-minute walk. My parents, they knew if we had to go somewhere outside, they had to tell me in advance. There were no surprise trips for me, even if it was a half-hour trip for the day. So that was it. Well, that was
Wow.
one of the challenges growing up. Yeah.
Whew, I can tell you, not having as a child when our nature is to move around and hop around and get
Yeah.
outside and be with other children and play, and we were
I was
deprived of that.
I was
What?
already a teen. I mean, as a child, I was more normal. I mean, I had other issues when I was a child, but at that time, I was
Oh,
more
okay.
in the preteen years, 11. I remember we had a trip with high school to the where was it? I can't remember. Well, doesn't matter. A biology field trip that I was interested in, of course, in going. And I had the colonoscopy there because I had so many symptoms. I mean, things weren't working out. They didn't know what I had, and they kept like getting more tests to me, like running more blood work. It was stressful. So I remember missing that field trip because I had to do the colonoscopy. And yes,
Well,
I was 11. I was 11 years old at the time.
okay. Yeah. Well, we belong to different generations, and in my time, we were a bit more delayed. That will
That
be the time when.
That's the thing. That's the thing because precisely because of what I said earlier in the call, because we changed and kids instead of going to high school when they were 14 or 15, which was the
Yeah.
norm until that year,
Yes.
we started going earlier for
Yeah. 11,
primero
12.
de eso. Yeah,
Yeah.
11. So it was that time, that period exactly.
That's right. The year that you turned 12, I think it is. Yeah. For me, it was at 14 because I was born in January, so I was always one of the eldest of my class all
Yeah.
the time. So yeah, that makes a big difference.
I'm from March, and I think I had to check the results of the colonoscopy the other day, and I think I was 11. Yeah, around
Oh
that
my
time.
gosh. Oh my gosh, Jesus. However, you overcame that.
I did.
How do you feel the empowerment that came from it? What would you say to other women there out there or other men out there who have a health issue like this that, I mean, obviously left a wound there because you couldn't be just like every other child when you were growing up. However, you dealt with it as you could as a child, but now as an adult, when you look back to that child, what would you say to somebody who's going through it now or whose child is going through the same thing?
I would say the same that I would tell myself right now, which is this too shall pass. Because when you are in something like that, doesn't matter what issue. I mean, I have other issues now related to that or unrelated to it. Uh, I'm not going to go into I've overcome it, like I'm healthy, there are more serious stuff or not. It's just about the mental state you keep about it, the attitude. And back at the time, I was just so depressed about it and so down because I couldn't do anything. I didn't even have that much of a problem. I mean, there are kids who really go through really serious diseases. For me, it wasn't really like that. It was more of a. I remember telling my mom, like, I just want to know what it is. I want to have a diagnosis, and that's it. Then I will address it. Now I must say I regret those words right now. But I was saying that at the time, like, I just want to know what it is, and then deal with it because there will be some treatment, there will be something because it kept going for months and months. And And I didn't. And after the colonoscopy, luckily everything was fine. She was like, "You're a very responsible kid. Like you worry a lot." I was like, "Yeah, I guess." Different personalities, type A personality as well applies when you're a kid. And she offered the chance of starting taking anxiolytics. I think you say like they say like that in English as well. Some
Okay.
some treatment for anxiety. I don't think it's the same as depression, as a treatment for depression, but it would be, I guess it's in the same field. So something to control my anxiety about life, if you want to put it that way, and about the situation. Because at the end of the day, everything, I don't agree with the fact that everything is psychosomatic, because once you have created it, it's really physical. You have a condition that has manifested after, I don't know, like bad lifestyle choices, poor choices like that, any condition, environmental agents, whatever it is, and also your attitude. And for me, if I was worrying so much, of course, we all know that when we have a problem in our life, the first thing we get is like a knot in our gut, in our stomach. We just get that with bad emotions. So I guess it all contributed in some way. So it's not only psychosomatic, but it has an influence in some way. And for me, I guess the treatment for anxiety would have helped me is that factor of worrying and making it worse. But I opted out of it. I remember, even though my parents are so against this type of medicines, my mom was so in the unknown, not knowing what to do for me, and she was saying I was having such a hard time that even like she looked at me when we were at the doctor's place, and she was like, "It's up to you. You decide if you want to do it." And I was like, "I'm 11 years old. If I start taking some pills for anxiety and I'm not able to control that myself, what's gonna happen when I'm that old as 20?" not even not
Ancient.
even go not even go to, I don't know, like 60 or 70, like all my life or anything. So I decided not to take that. So I would say that just when you're in a problem, you see it as huge, and it is huge. I'm not saying that you should tell people, "Oh, it's nothing, you're fine." No, it's not. It's a big thing. Even if it's not for someone there, everything is a big thing because it has an effect on them. I'm just saying that things change even if you don't see that at the moment, and never know, it can just go away like that did for me. In that sense, at least now I also have some issues related to that. I just live them very differently. i'm I never thought I would be traveling so much, and for my job these days I'm traveling 80% of the time. Not during the lockdown, but I'm always on the go, on planes, trains, I mean, you name it, by car. I'm always living in autos pretty much and traveling, which is something I would have never ever in my best days at that time be able to picture.
Wow, this too shall pass. That's so profound. I have it here. I wrote it down. I put a square, a rectangle around it. It's amazing. I also wrote down here that your thoughts creating those feelings, perhaps that anxiety. I mean, whatever was happening to your gut, because you were so young, it's difficult because when you see the symptoms or something happening in somebody's body, like Sally, it's a beautiful woman that we were interviewing this week actually, and she went through some health issues, and she was describing how that had those health issues put her in her path to in the hero's path, meaning this has something to tell me. The reason why I'm having this in my body is because I need to learn something, and that
Mhm.
completely focused her life path
Wow.
and put it in the way that her soul wanted to go to experience whatever her soul had to experience in this lifetime. But when you're 10, 11, 12, it's like, wow, are you an old soul incarnated in a little body? And that, because the fact that your mother was asking you, not deciding for you, but asking you,
Yeah.
you take the decision of taking the pills or not, that tells me that you are an old soul in a young body.
It
I just
it doesn't.
wonder.
I mean, that would be that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, yeah, I was going to say that you had a maturity back then to think, yeah, I'm choosing not to, and this will pass.
Mm-hmm.
An 11-year-old normally doesn't think that way.
I don't know if I thought that it would pass. I just thought the pills were not the way, because I knew
Exactly.
I didn't have anything. Once we got to the appointment and she said, okay, the results of the test are fine. I mean, you don't have cancer, you don't have anything like that. Then I knew, okay, if there's nothing, I can really control this myself. If there's really nothing on a physical level, to put it like that.
Yeah,
It's hard to tell where everything eradicates from, where are the roots of a condition. But in that case, I had the peace of mind. I also had the option of having the colonoscopy or not done. And at that time, even though it's not like that these days, and I just found out it wasn't like that back in the time either, but I had it without anesthesia, the medical examination.
yeah,
It's something that is not done. Of course, my parents and myself, we weren't familiar with those things, and we thought it was normal because kids shouldn't have anesthesia. So it was kind of, so yeah, they told me you can just continue going as you have. Blood tests are now fine, like everything's fine, or you can have the colonoscopy to discard other things. And I also chose to have it myself. I mean, just talking to my parents recently, they said that if we were able to travel back in time, they wouldn't have allowed it to happen. Not that way, definitely without anesthesia, but probably not the examination either. And I also decided that maybe because I worry a lot, and when I was a kid, I would also worry a lot. So for me, it was better to endure something like that, even if it was a traumatic experience, than to not have the certainty that I was healthy. I wanted to discard every possible option,
yeah,
which I'm not saying is good. It's just the way my mind works. We are all
yeah.
different.
You wanted the knowledge, you wanted to have the information in your hands, and then from there, take it from there and take the decisions based on the knowledge, on the
Cor-
certainty of what's going on here, and then take the
Correct.
decisions. But imagine at that age.
I was already a pre-scientist, so I just wanted to have the facts straight. What is it? I mean, if I have this, I will get these symptoms, these signs, this type of pain. But I know I have this, so it's normal. I remember telling my mom, like, if I have this, then it's normal. But now, if I don't know what I have, I get this weird feeling here and there, and I don't know what it's what it's stemming from and what it is. So I'm just more concerned about it, about the uncertainty, than about the condition itself, which is not true. It's not how it works. I mean, if you have cancer, you don't want to have cancer. I mean, you want to be healthy and don't know what it is. But of course, at that time, I didn't think of more serious things or anything. I just wanted to know what it was and heal it, be able to heal it like that. And luckily, it was really nothing. They just label it as IBS, irritable bowel syndrome.
Bowel syndrome. Yeah,
So they just label it as that, which is kind of a mess drawer where they put all the conditions that they can really identify as something else. It's how it is. If it's not IBD, which is IBD, like inflammatory bowel disease, or it's not cancer, it's not something like that, they just put it in that drawer of IBS.
yeah,
Um, Now I'm dealing with some inflammation, for example, these days there. But like I'm fine. Like I mean, I don't have to have a label for me to be able to be fine or for them to decide it. And at that time, I was super healthy as well, and it just took a change in my mind process to do it.
yeah. So it was a mind process and it was a body process, but you understand that everything's linked together. So now you can
Mm.
have more control over it. Is that correct?
I hope so. I'm hoping that uh, about any type of condition, even if you have a fever or flu is a big topic these days. Supposedly, you're supposed to trust your immune system and your body and really go for it. And I can't really bring any wisdom to the table on that sense because I haven't figured anything out. I just know that I didn't let that power uh, be taken from me in the sense of relying on pills. And
Mm,
I don't really remember how it went. I guess it was a gradual process of being so afraid of going outside till then taking steps and leading to a more normal life, if you can say it like that, of just I have to go out and I don't have to think about going to the bathroom beforehand, which is ridiculous if you think about it, because I mean, we're human beings. It can happen to any of us that you're outside and you need to go to the bathroom. You just go to a restaurant or a bar or something. It's just a silly situation when you're talking about it and hearing about it, probably, for whoever, if there's someone listening to this interview afterwards. But it was a big issue for me.
Of course it was. Something that very powerful that you said there is that you decided to take the power and to decide over your life rather than give your power away to doctors, mothers,
Yeah.
parents, or whatever it was, and said, no, I hold the reins of my life and I'm going to decide how to live a normal life, whatever your standards of normal life are. And that's so powerful, because so many people out there is like, oh, doctor, fix me.
You want that doctor. Or even with my mom, because she would ask me like, what do you feel, where is it hurting, or what's wrong? And it's hard to, I mean, I remember telling her as well, like, I just wish you could be in my body for like a day, so you would know what symptoms I'm having, so you could properly tell the doctor, or just that the doctor knew. Like a magic scan that like you go into the doctor's appointment and they just scan you and know exactly what you had. That was my perfect idea of medicine back in the day. And I would just tell my mom, I just wish you could be in my body for some time, because I can't really explain how it feels. Like, how do you explain, like I don't know, maybe like a swollen throat? How do you explain that to someone who has not experienced it? That's something we all have experienced, so we know what it is. But something else that you don't know if people feel or not. How do you explain the period pain to a man who has never felt that?
To a gynecologist who happens to be a man.
Also, yes, like how can you explain, like, is this normal? Is it not? How do I know if it's normal? How do I know if this is what I'm supposed to feel? This is a natural process of my body, or is not? Should I be concerned about it? Should I not? So I had all this paranoia in my mind. And of course, I couldn't do anything about it. Like, my mom couldn't be in my body and tell me better. But I knew.
Yeah, as kids we want to all that comfort, but that had made you stronger, hasn't it? Because you had to deal with it yourself. You owned it. You wanted your mother to fix it, you wanted the doctor to fix it, but still you said, no, I own it,
I
and I will take
guess,
the decisions. Yeah.
I guess that you reached that point or that level of saying, yes, this is what I feel, and nobody is going to ever know how it feels like or what I feel, and I don't know if it's normal or not. Even about IBS, whenever I would go to a doctor appointment throughout all these years, I mean, I'm 27 or just turned 28 now, as it was time ago. So whenever I have a doctor appointment, they ask about previous things, like nothing serious, just this. Oh, that's serious. I'm like, okay. And they say, like, do you have any symptoms now? Do you have anything about that? And I always tell them, I don't know. It's my body. It has always been like that. I don't know what's normal or not. We all feel different things in our bodies. Um, some people have a ache on their knee that they find normal because they have gotten used to it. Some people have terrible periods, some women, of course, that they gets them in bed for a whole week, while some others don't feel any pain or have a perfect time anyways. So all the bodies are different, and I could never tell, like, do I still have symptoms? I don't know. I don't know different than that is my body. But if I get afraid about them and really start worrying and trying to look deeper into it, I'm going to fall into this hole of depression, like this down spiral of worry.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you have reached a very good communion with your own body, and say, okay, and not to identify yourself with your body, which I find also very powerful. It's like my body. You talk about my body as something slightly separate, which I think is very wise.
I
Which I
hadn't
think is
noticed.
very wise. Yeah, but if you see the recording, you talk about your body, and I think that's extremely wise, Elisa, because well, you and I met at a Joe Dispenza event,
Mm-hmm.
and once again, if we believe, which I do, that we are souls having a human experience,
Mm-hmm.
our souls are in this shell, right?
Flesh. Yeah.
Flesh, bone, water mainly, or just pretty much is water, right? So we're in this shell, but that's not who we are. This shell ends up rottens, but who we are, our essence keeps going. It might get into another shell or not. We don't know. We might go back to
Yeah.
whatever planet we're from or whatever it is. But this is just the shell, and we chose to get into the shell and have certain experiences to learn whatever it is good for our soul. That's the way I see it, and the more and more I look into it, the more it makes sense, and the more people I found who think the same, which, I mean, that's law of attraction. But yeah, it's so wide that you say my body chose that. You get the lessons, but you don't get dragged into the drama of your body. No, I just continue with this. I carry on wearing this beautiful body that I've got in this lifetime, and I just continue with my life. That's absolutely magnificent.
That's
Magnificent.
that's
That's
the idea, and what I would try to implement if I have a choice. It's just hard to, if you have some type of pain in your body for any type of reason, it's difficult to not be fully identified with it. Like, I'm this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die, or something's wrong with me. It's hard to try to take your attention off of it, which is something that I'm working on these days. It's just difficult. It's easier said than done. And yeah, we're just
oh
like basically water. Like, have you ever read that post that in social media? Like, we're basically cucumbers with anxiety because we are a high percentage of water. And these kind of things are what make me really relativizar. How do you say that in English? Like, really put things into perspective.
exactly, yeah.
And you give yourself so much importance, and you're not really that important. Like, your body's not really that important. I'm saying that in my core, I don't think, I mean, I know rationally that is true. I just feel
Yeah,
scared of things happening, and like, I mean,
of
it makes
course.
sense. But like, we're not really that big of a deal, and we think we are so important. Each of us, we're just like tiny ants in an orange. Like, if you consider the planet, we're just insignificant in that sense. And of course, our problems are huge to us, whether it's a health issue, a job issue, family issue. And even when something like that is very scary, and then something bigger happens to you, like a friend has an accident or something you're more worried about, and then you're like, oh my God, like, I shouldn't have worried about the other stuff, because I should have been just happy and enjoying. Just like the giraffe neck that my mom would tell me. I bring up my mom a lot because I would have a lot of conversations with her about life in general and things. She's like, how
Beautiful.
does a giraffe see the world? Just from an upper perspective, everything seems different and smaller. Like, problems are smaller. So try to have that outlook of things, which is not easy. But I mean, you can have like a sprained ankle, and you can make it like the worst experience of your year because it sucks. And if you compare it to other people living other situations, you're perfectly fine. And it's something temporary. You can really have thoughts to soothe yourself and see that it's not so big, and it can
Yeah,
also get better, if not
yeah.
heal.
It goes down to our thoughts. The perspective that you're talking about is our thoughts and the meaning that we assign to those thoughts, isn't it? Because,
The
oh, I sprained my ankle, oh, my nail is broken. We can make a world out of it, but it's about
Exactly.
what do we do with our thoughts? Is this really worth me being worried about this? Does
Mm.
this, my broken nail, deserve any energy into it? No. So yeah, what you're doing is really wise. Is what's the perspective here? But also, I agree with you that because we're humans as well, we are the soul inhabiting this shell, but we're this shell as well. We're wearing this shell.
Yeah, it's a big
And
one.
the shell see things in a in a way in particular, and that's why this shell tends to sometimes um, clasp into the drama and see things in, oh, this
Yeah.
is difficult, oh Jesus. But then we can get into the giraffe and say, hey, you, and wake up. oh yeah, hold on, this is nothing. This is nothing, it's just an experience. Let's turn it around. Let's assign it another meaning.
And I'm not saying it's nothing. Someone can have a really
Well,
serious
oh
condition.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm saying nothing in general in the sense that supposedly you should be able to heal everything. That's the theory. I mean, I haven't experienced that. Some people do. There are many cases of people with really like stage 3, stage 4 cancers who get healed like for some. I mean, I'm a scientist. I cannot say miraculous reason, but there are things that we don't get to grasp yet. And the body has certain intelligence. I mean, if you study molecular biology, you're like so amazed that things are fine. Like when I was studying that back in the day, I was like, I can't believe there are not more like really badly formed sick people in the world. Like most of us are healthy. I mean, we have like little issues, but we're healthy. Like all of this is working perfectly without you having to give any thought to it.
Yeah,
Like so many, like I mean, your trillions of cells with their thousands or millions of internal processes, they're like all doing their thing. I mean, they're not simple processes either. They're like
right.
really complex things going on there that you wouldn't be able to manage yourself if you had the control over it. And it's being done. So medicine or biology, it's intelligent per se. So at some point, same as when you have an internal thing, an internal bleeding or some virus or bacteria invades your body, which happens all the time because we're exposed continuously to environmental agents from other humans, from animals, just from mold in the air, anything. And our body deals with it and we don't feel it. Maybe once in a million times we will come with a cold or a flu or something like that. But we don't notice all the other times, millions of times that the body is protecting us. On an internal level, like DNA uh, mismatches that happen when we are creating new cells in our body. And our own body has the mechanisms of intelligence of double checking things and making things are fine. Like that's why I was so drawn to studying biomedicine in my case, because it's magic without being magic. That's like the way biology is.
Yeah,
Magic itself. You just can't believe it, and it's how it is. So we have to, I guess, and I also say those words to myself. We have to give more credit to our biology.
yeah. Do you understand biology as this intelligence that coordinates everything?
Yes and no. I'm not going into those deeper levels that I don't know. I mean, we read about things in the seminar of Dispensa. We hear those things. I'm just talking from the level that I know for sure, which is
Okay.
what I've seen in my books, in college, in the microscope, and all these things. I'm not even going beyond what type of intelligence is running these processes. I'm just talking
Okay.
about the processes themselves.
Itself. You
They are,
take them from that point onwards, know what's moving them.
yeah, no, exactly.
Okay.
Like there's not even a need to go beyond something we don't know exactly what it is. Which I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I just I just consider that the mechanism themselves and the cells themselves and the way they work, our body
Yeah.
work work is just magic itself. Like
Yeah.
doesn't matter how it's run. Just seeing that, analyzing that, you don't have to believe in anything else. I'm speaking from a scientist, pure scientist perspective.
Yeah.
Just seeing that is already super amazing.
Yeah. Looking at the facts,
Yeah,
neutral facts. Yeah.
seeing how things work and you see like these videos of these molecules doing things and you're like, oh my god, like how is like everything like that working? That's why I never really understood, or I couldn't really identify myself with some friends of mine who would study not sciences. They would go for literature, things like those, which are beautiful, they are amazing as well. But I was like, how can you not want to know how your body is working? um, Even if it's just on a general basis, because for me it was so fascinating to have that knowledge. And then the deeper I would go into it, of course, you end up hating molecular biology because it's not easy to study. But just learning the facts and seeing those things, you're like, wow, whatever did this, I mean, the body itself is just like every system, the way it works so perfectly and so coordinated. it's just amazing biology. I'm not going into some, I don't know, power, like some extra intelligence that creates that. I don't know about that. I'm just talking about the physicality that we know here.
Mm-hmm. But whatever is behind, I mean, it's a hell of a master. We can agree on that.
If there's something behind, some energy behind or something, yeah, definitely.
There's got to be something. Things don't run by themselves today. It just doesn't happen. That
But
doesn't.
that's the thing. For us, they do. You don't
Mm.
have to worry about there's something else or how. So I mean, that's how it's working. These things are
Yeah,
running by themselves. For what for what we know, for what we're concerned about, they do work for us like that.
yeah. My view is that yes, there is this supreme intelligence
Mm,
making it all happen, and we are part of it as drops in the ocean.
okay.
We're the drop, we're the ocean. That's how I see it anyway.
It
Because
can be. It can be.
yeah, I see it that way. It works for me, but as you say, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. However, I think that we can connect with that and work with it or against it.
Hmm.
And as a scientist, you know that our thoughts and feelings do have an influence in the media. When you culture cells, the
Yeah.
effects are there. That much we
Yeah.
know.
There are these experiments. I mean, I don't know. Like I always keep the skeptical mind, even though I like reading about these things. Like because I can never know. But it's good that we have more experiments on this, same as the placebo or nocebo effect on our bodies. Of course, that means something. Even those experiments that this Japanese scientist did on water,
Yeah,
different
Masaru Emoto.
Masaru Emoto, exactly. So all
Mm,
of these things are coming. They are more spread in society these days. So there are
yeah.
more things that we're learning, and it's good that science can really start studying those things, so that we can get more understanding of how it works and if there's a correlation.
Yeah, I don't know if you have studied Bruce Lipton, but back in the 80s, what
Mm.
you did, yeah?
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, he did these experiments putting the same cells, just different media.
Yeah.
And those cells just grew different tissues. And that was back in the 80s. And it was just the media changing. I don't know what he changed,
The,
pH, nutrition, whatever it is. And he talks about a lot about epigenetics, which is our genes can be turned on and off and therefore produce one thing or another.
exactly.
And with
Yes.
our emotions, we have an effect in the genes that turn on and off. So our thoughts create our emotions click and switch on and off the genes. Therefore, we are creators in that space, aren't we? How do you see that as a
Yes.
scientist? He is a scientist as
I
well.
know, I know. He was actually one of the first authors I read back in the day when I was much before going into studying in university. I was probably around 12 or 13. Yeah, and I remember seeing, like, reading this because my dad read the book and he was fascinated with it and he recommended it to me, like, you're going to love it. And I read it, I was like, yeah, like, I don't see anything new in this. Like, it makes sense. Like, the fact that he talks more about the information. If I remember well, I mean, it's been many years, so I may be wrong, so don't quote me on it. But I think he goes into explaining how the membranes of the cells have more to do in the fate of this than the nuclei of the cells.
Yeah,
I mean, the nuclei has all the genetic information, or most of it at least. So you would think it's what runs the cells. But every cell reacts depending on the conditions in the media, in this case, which is everything they have. These signals go into the nuclei. So the nuclei has an idea of what molecules they need, what they have to deal with. So the DNA kind of adapts to the needs of the cell. And of course, if you change the media in this that these cells are living in, that's what we do in cell culture in biology or medicine. You can add different growth factors, and it changes, of course, how cells are going to grow, proliferate or not. They can thrive or not, or the opposite. And if you go further and you study stem cells, any type of stem cells or induced stem cells, any factor in your body when we are developing, any of these little switches in the factors or even the gradient, which is the concentration of factors you have, has a tremendous effect on the fate of the cells. It can change from being a cell in your epithelia, in your skin, or in your inner gut, in the lining of the gut, for example, or the heart, and totally different fate for very different changes. And epigenetics, I always thought it was amazing because back in the day, not so much of the DNA was discovered. So most of it would be just called trash DNA because they thought it didn't do anything. It was just this portion of DNA that was methylated. That means it's not translated into proteins. And they just thought it didn't do anything. And now we know that these factors can alter the methylation or acetylation of the DNA molecule. And that means that the
They are on and
molecule,
off.
yeah, it will create a protein or not if it's if it's acetylated or methylated. And now we know that some type of pollutants in the air can have an effect on this, some contamination factors. And if we get really to the point of establishing a direct relationship between emotions and thoughts and that, I mean, can you imagine what change of paradigm it would mean, it would entail?
Oh, Mama, but it could be amazing. It could be amazing. My sons, who are 17 and 19, they said that now they study epigenetics in school. It's like, wow, amazing. At
Yeah,
least we are a bit aware. We are a bit more aware now. Bruce
it
was
is.
talking about this in the 80s. This is 2020. And now they're talking about that in school 30, 40 years later. 30
No,
years later.
it's been going from before. I mean, I read about that when I was younger, and of course, when I studied biomedicine, it's something that we
It was
already have
there.
in mind. There are many research groups working on epigenetics since many years ago.
Okay.
It's a very broad concept, and you can take it. I mean, it's difficult to study different factors that are hard to measure. How do you measure the effects? I mean, DNA itself is complicated to work with. You have to take like more simple organisms like worms or like other animals, I'm afraid. Um, and it's hard to, you have, when you're studying something, you have to have like exact factors. Like in a clinical trial, you have to have different groups with the exact same conditions and only change one factor so that
Mm-hmm.
you know that there are any differences. They're going to be
Yeah.
due to that factor. If we are analyzing human beings with all the, we have our emotions, our thoughts, interactions with people, the air we're breathing, the food, which is not even consistent. We don't have any human who is only having tomatoes every day of their life or cheese every day of their life. So we can really,
Yeah.
I mean, and where does that tomato come from? How has it been produced, like
Yeah.
pesticides or not, in which soil? There are so many factors that's the difficulty of epigenetics. You can really go
Yeah.
down to the root cause of a change. And in the lab, in a lab, it's harder to study as well because you can't really know. I mean, they've done this type of things with plants, for example, as more
Mm.
simple organisms, exposing them to other factors, or even it's been said, I haven't done it myself, that if you take a plant and say beautiful things to it, it will grow and like really thrive. And if you take another plant and you kind of bully it, uh, which I will feel bad doing that to a plant. But for the sake of the experiment, if you do it, it will not grow and maybe it will even die. And I know they're doing that in some high school projects, and it's
Yes.
something that's, we all know it. We just don't know how the mechanisms work and if they really apply to us or not.
Yeah. I understand, as a scientist as well, I understand that there are so many factors. It's just impossible for us humans to take everything into consideration. But
Yeah,
if we go to the everyday life, right? You have a fight with your significant other or with your kids, or just something happens at work. Look at your body. Do you have a
yeah.
headache? Do you have a backache? Did whatever you ate is like, oh my god, my stomach, I'm feeling it there.
The
Do you have
stomach always,
pain in
right?
your body? Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of guts there. We have a lot of neurons there.
Mhm.
Even if we go down to that level, not being scientists, just being simple humans, average humans, we see that and we experience in our bodies what's happening. When we're
Yeah,
scared, we don't breathe deep. And the moment we start breathing deep into our belly, our heart rate goes down. We know that. We know that feelings and emotions change with our body, and we can change our body to change that as well. It's not the same if you eat your nutrition as well, you were mentioning it. It's not the same if you're eating big steaks or if you eat plants. Your body doesn't feel the same. Doesn't
Right.
feel the same at all. This heaviness, oh my God, I have fabada. So, I mean, big beans with lots of pork that we have up in the north. It's after that, it's like, oh my God, I just can't lie down here on the sofa and I want to die because that's so heavy. But if you eat salads or just plants, not just salads and, oh, yeah, I'm just having lettuce with tomato. No, but I mean, legumes and things like that. And it's not the same. I never feel full now. I don't eat animals and never feel, oh,
Yeah, I do.
never,
I don't need
never.
I don't need animals either, but that until you discover vegan cheese and this type of things that also bad for you, then you can feel food. It's just addicting. But yeah, the food conversation is really a long one as well, like really interesting.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but we do have that power of saying, listen, these thoughts, because I had a fight with my boss and then I'm home and I keep thinking of it. My headache is going to be there.
Yeah.
Could be a headache, could be anything, whatever it is, but it does go into our bodies.
And supposedly your body doesn't differentiate. We know that if you're having the argument at the moment or you're thinking about the argument, your gut, your
Exactly.
stomach is going to react the same way because you're still having that bad experience, whether you're living it or you're remembering it.
Yeah, I'm thinking now, once I run over a kitten at home by accident,
Oh
obviously,
my God.
one of our
Yeah.
kittens, and I still feel it every time I think of it. I mean, the poor kitten is long gone.
Mm.
And the mother had more kittens, so she never noticed, I think. But still, I go back there and I feel this like cold sweat run over me. And it's just a little example, but that happens all the time. And if that was a kitten, nobody died, just the kitten, poor thing. It was an accident, accidents happen. But we can get stuck into dramas from the past, like, I don't know, my mother told me this and she ruined my life. And we can get back there 30, 20, 50 years ago. Or my parents went through a divorce and being still there, stuck there, and
Yeah.
our body still suffers from that. So let's wake up and
And sometimes it's not even about no, it's not even about the past. Like we can get stuck in these patterns of, like some people will go for being victims because that what makes them feel better, or like maybe what gets them some love and attention of people.
yeah.
And that's why maybe all of us at some point, unconsciously, of course, have wanted to get that feeling of, oh, I'm so bad, like please bring me the attention, you know. And I think it also happens when you have, even when you don't have a bad experience at the moment, it depends on what you think about it. Like a relationship with your significant other or a friend, any situation you have with them can be totally fine, or depending on your thought process, it can turn into a nightmare because now you're thinking, oh, more, why did this happen? Does this mean this? What's gonna happen from this? Can I really trust that? And you get your own movie movie mind, and things can get really ugly there, and you can look at the same situation through a different, totally different perspective, and things are different. Of course, always being faithful to the truth. You don't want to ignore reality, but at the same time, the same reality, depending on how you look at it, sometimes your head will try to make you feel bad about things that are not really there. I don't know if you can relate to that
Oh
situation.
yeah. To go back to the pattern, being a victim, I know that. I mean,
Mm.
my mother loves doing that, so she's a very, very nice example. And I could easily go there. I need to be very attentive not to go there to the victim mode, because if
Yeah,
I look at myself from the outside, I wouldn't really want to be with me if I'm in the victim mode. I want to be with people who are the owners of their lives and who hold the
right.
responsibility for themselves and are accountable. And the victim mode is a short-term reward that it's not worth it in the long term.
it's like an excuse you put yourself for any type of behavior you don't like about yourself, or for
Yeah,
something you're not doing you would like to. It's just an excuse, which I guess is a defense mechanism that most of us can use at some point for a very short moment, and then realize, like, notice and be like, no, this is not
yeah.
how it is, and I can do better. And it really doesn't help me at all.
No,
It's just to
long
have
term, it
that.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. People don't want to be with us, and
Mm.
no, it could be, it's the easiest way to go, but then we feel so much better with ourselves when we overcome whatever it is, and it could be stepping out of the victim mode.
Yeah, I think I had something like that to me as well, like this negativity, this outlook of life that we can all have. I mean, you see problems in your life or outside. And I think I was also very negative, which is something that this seminar of this Joe Dispenza kind of helps, because it makes you analyze yourself a bit more. Some introspective look is always good. And I think I changed that a little bit. I tried to not be so negative about things, not be brought down all the time, because as you say, people around you will notice that, will feel that, and it affects them. If they care about you, they're going to worry. And even if they don't want to be around that type of feeling or energy, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think I had something to that myself, like, you don't do it on purpose, you just are worried about something, like, uh can be worried about a health thing, or a family member being sick, or about an exam I have next week, you know. And you just get that feeling, and then more things start piling up on the same feeling, like, this is so bad, and now I have to do this, this is terrible, I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. And we do that. It's easy to find more reasons to feel good or bad, depending on which side of the stick you are. um, but yeah, it's good to notice, and for me, I think it's been a good change attending Joe Dispenza
yeah.
seminar workshop, in knowing that and learning that from myself, that I don't need to do that to be fine.
Yeah, it makes sense from the shell point of view, going back to
Mm,
it,
yeah.
because our brain's work is to keep us alive. And our brain knows that if you continue doing what you're doing now, you continue being alive. However, our soul knows better, or higher self, or whichever level of existence you want to look at. It's, hey, hold on, if you overcome this, you're going to feel so much better. And we do. Whenever
Mm.
we do something that we were scared of, and then we do it, the sense of accomplishment is just amazing, and it feels so good. And then the brain says, well, okay, I grant you this. Now I'm putting you at a different level. And then the brain will continue saying, oh, the next level is so scary, and you could die there, and you need to worry. But then we say, hey, you shut up. You shut up. I'm in control here. And then we move one more step, and then more energy again, and we can peel all those layers of no, 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 you shouldn't, so mustn't, so you don't have to.
And you're
And the
still
more
on the first one of the onion, on the thin layer. I don't know if I will ever get there, but
of
something
course
that,
you're not, of course you're not.
yeah, it takes
You're,
time,
it takes a little bit of time, but the moment that you peel the
effort.
first one, then it gets easier. It's like everything, it gets easier, it gets easier. And perhaps you're a bit hard on yourself, and you put your, you see the levels very high up, and your standards are so high. But looking at you from the outside, you see, we can see how much you've done, how many layers you've peeled
Mhm.
already. Perhaps it's an invitation: love yourself more, appreciate more, acknowledge what you've done so far, love yourself a bit more. Yeah, go
It's
into
always
your heart.
an ongoing process, yeah, and
Exactly.
something that may help someone else, whoever is listening to this, that stuck with me from one of the team leaders in the workshop, was some health issues he got to overcome, and something that really I could relate with a lot. He said, once I was kind of getting ready to heal from that condition, he got asked the question, "Are you ready to and willing to not be special anymore? Give up
Excellent.
that feeling of being special, being the one who has to take care
Yeah.
with this because he has a problem around that. So if you're healthy, if you're fine, you're not special. You're just one more. Like, no, people don't have to take care of you, and you don't have, even if it's not just people, just yourself. You're not
Yeah.
special. And he said that, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, like so many people, how many people, of course, not on a conscious level, no one wants to be sick consciously, but how many people appreciate having the extra care or
Mm.
attention at some level. You may not even notice, but for sure it's like, I have people there for me because I have this, or this is something I can identify myself with, and it
Exactly.
becomes part of my personality. If I have that condition, I belong to people who have that condition. I have something to relate with, some people who are like me. I have a sense of community.
Yeah.
There are so many factors implicated there. I don't know how deep it goes. I'm just glad that I got to that understanding, because it's good to have in mind, because we all get into those traps, I think. And he
Yeah.
said that, and it was so mind blowing to me, because I had already been working on that, on the not being a victim, not going into the victim mode. And when he said that, I was like, exactly, that's what we do. We want to be special for people, and it
Yeah.
can be for good or for bad reasons sometimes.
It's the sense of identity. Who are you? And for some people is I am, and then the name. For some others is I am somebody's mother. For some others is I am a
The job,
vet
or
or a
yeah,
depression. I am a cancer patient. I am, and there's the identity. If you lose the identity, they lose everything, because they don't realize, hey, hold on, you're valuable just for being you. Maybe
yeah,
nobody told them ever, you're valuable because of being you. Maybe
mhm,
their parents were incapable, or they didn't know any better to say,
yeah, can be,
listen, you're lovable just by being you, rather than if you do this, then mommy will love you. If you don't do this, we'll punish you because you have to be this way. And that's where I think it all comes from there, maybe from previous lives, I don't know. But even if you just
yeah,
consider this life, even if you consider just this life, the influence that our parents have on us is just, it's everything. We live according to the programs that they install in our heads. And
or
school,
not, because also I understand that, but also if you're saying that, you're also giving your power away to what your parents did, not to you, at
what
some
I'm,
level.
the thing is that on before 7, we believe everything, and our brain
Mhm.
is incapable of processing things by themselves. We are in this hypnotic state, and everything
Yeah, we
comes
don't
in.
have the analytical mind
We don't have
so
it
formed. Yeah,
exactly.
I
That's
know
why I'm
that.
saying, I'm not
Yeah.
saying at 10, 12, 13, or 20. I'm saying before
Mhm.
7. Before 7.
Yeah. You get some programs, of course, at that age, more than we do afterwards. But I don't think we can really, as you said, you're having your own experiences. You grow from there. I don't know how or why, but I think we shouldn't really find the guilt or responsibility on someone else, even during those years, at some
I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming. I'm just saying that our parents did what they could.
attributing. Yeah.
That's it. They did what they could, and
Mm.
that's it. But the program is there.
Yeah.
It's just that it's there. No, I'm not blaming anybody. Actually,
Yeah.
on the opposite, I do believe that I chose my parents on the way in, so that I would go through the experiences that I went through.
Mm.
I'm so grateful to them, because thanks to them, I learned how not to be a mother, and I still am an excellent mother for my children, because they
Yeah.
taught me, and because they are magnificent. They
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, they completely know that they are responsible for everything, and that they are creators, co-creators, and they're happy in their skin, and that's it. That's it.
That's a lot to
That's
bring
my
up.
biggest success. That's my biggest success. Therefore, I'm extremely grateful to my parents, because if they had been some other way, you see, I would have said, oh yeah, whatever. But I learned,
Oh
no, I don't
no.
want to be like that. Well, how do I need to be to have children that grow in a different environment? So no, it's not blame. It's just
Yeah.
what the soul decided to do in this shell in this time, in my
Mhm.
opinion. That's what I believe anyway.
It's a good mindset to have, to bring the most out of it, to do the
Yeah,
better you can.
yeah. Well, it took me a while.
It's never easy, or that's what they say. Yeah.
It took me a
It could
while.
be.
The beauty of it is that now we can shorten time, because the people watching this program, they can take all these pills that we're sharing with them to shorten the time that it takes them to get there. Maybe somebody never thought, oh my God, I can look at my behavior and change it. I never thought of that. It could be things like that. And for us, it's like, yeah, we've been working for this, well, in your case, less years, in my case, a couple of decades at least. But it's just that one little something, and that changes somebody's life. Like you said, this trainer at the Joe Dispenza event, and you say, oh my God, little bulb. But that's peeling one layer, and there'll be another one and another one. Mm-hmm. If we help somebody peel one tiny little layer.
Exactly, yes. You cannot learn by words. You have to experience things yourself. But at the same time, these things, hearing them, they like it did for me. It brings some level of awareness of, wow, I can relate to this. And the more open you are to things, the more insights you get.
Yeah, when the pupil is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, fantastic, Elisa. It's so refreshing talking to you. So refreshing. So many pills of wisdom there. Thank you for being so open, for giving us your time, for sharing your experience, for exposing yourself, and with this view of helping others. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and for the interview. It's always a real pleasure to talk with you. I really appreciate you as a person, as a whole. And yeah, I don't know if this can help anybody. I don't think I said anything out of the ordinary. Luckily, I haven't been in bad conditions in my life. I had a really happy life, and I can't really complain. But yeah, if anything we have discussed here resonates with someone, always happy to share.
Oh, for sure. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what do we tell them?
Just of course, just if they can get in touch with you through the channel where you're posting this, and you can let me know. I'll be happy to talk with them.
Will do so. Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you, Anna. Me too.